In this video, we're going to turn a $6 Raspberry Pi Pico W and a USB cable into a keyboard that's controlled over a web page. With it, you can send keyboard and basic mouse inputs over a Wi-Fi network to a remote device. For example, type on a locally connected keyboard and forward the key presses to another machine, or use the touch interface on a tablet to turn into a wireless keyboard and mouse for a computer, even if it's in another room. To start with, we're going to need a Raspberry Pi Pico W, which costs just $6 US, and a micro USB cable to connect it to the device we want to control. Before that though, we're going to need to connect it to a computer to install the software. You can go to the web keyboard Git repository, which is linked in the description, browse to releases, and download the firmware file to your machine. Then while holding down the boot select button on the Pico W, plug it into the computer with the micro USB cable, and it should show up as a USB drive. Copy the firmware onto that USB drive and unmount the drive to finish flashing the device. Once the Pico W is booted up with the installed software, the onboard LED is going to start blinking to indicate that it's in access point mode. At this point, connect to the Pico KB network with the password and navigate to this address on a web browser. That's going to load the web interface, and you can use it directly in this mode, but it's recommended to connect to a local Wi-Fi network by clicking the Configure Wi-Fi button. You can enter the credentials for your Wi-Fi network, save, and then reboot the device. At that point, the LED on the Pico W should become solid to show that it's connected to the network, and you should be able to connect it with any device on the same network by navigating to http://picokb. If that doesn't work, use your router's management interface to find the IP address of the Pico W and connect directly to that IP. With the web keyboard configured, you can now unplug it from the computer and plug it into any device that you want to be able to control remotely. Just load the web page on your input device, and the keys that you press while you have the web page open are going to be transmitted to the host device through the web keyboard. If your input device has a touchscreen, for example, if you're using a tablet or a smartphone, you can also touch the keys on the screen and use it as a touch keyboard. And finally, you can also click on the keys on the web page with the pointer device like a mouse to enter those keys, although I don't really recommend that method unless you're in a pinch. There's also the ability to enter some basic mouse movements and left and right mouse clicks through the simple mouse interface on the right. As long as your device and the Pico W are on the same network, you should be able to open the web page to enter the keys into the machine connected to the Pico W. This might be useful to wirelessly make keyboard and mouse inputs across a large room, or even if you're in a different room all the way on the other side of the house. Unlike with the full KVM over IP solution, you can't view what's on the remote machine screen unless you can physically see the display, so the usage is definitely going to be more limited here, but the trade-off comes at this solution being an order of magnitude or two cheaper. There's also software solutions like Windows Remote Desktop when you need to be able to access a machine on the same network remotely, but in instances where you can't connect a remote desktop, for example, if the OS hasn't fully started yet, or if you're on a device without a remote desktop software that's available, this can be a cheap, if imperfect, solution to be able to remotely control it. And if you're interested, I've also made the code fully available at the link in the description, so feel free to take a look at it. And I will also be continuing to make updates and bug fixes to the software. So if you find anything or have any suggestions, please leave a comment and let me know.